Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Tiffany.
To some, we could be called career wizards.
And to others, sometimes we seem like therapists. However, we definitely are not.
But for you, we are the co-hosts of the Career Boosters podcast.
The confidence that now that I feel that I carry of what I bring to the table on both sides of the technical and the school side. So I can say all of it. It's confidence. And I also can say that I am a leader. Not that I was or I was trying to become one. You guys have kind of just allowed us to have the skills to see the leader that's already in us and be able to bring it to the forefront, which has been so fun.
Hello and welcome to the Career Boosters Podcast, Season 3, Episode 22. That is wild. I think we are getting, I think we're 3 away from 100 episodes, which is kind of crazy. Last week, we finished up our facilitation and teaching for the 2025-2026 academic calendar year. We started way back in August of 2025. We've had 21 classes, have listened to 33 This Is Me presentations, are in the midst of interviewing 60 MBA and MMA students. We've delivered sessions on things like values and strengths, emotional intelligence, boundary setting, time and energy management, resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, and so many more things. It's crazy. So many things. One student who has really brought into the structure and the process that we've built in this program and really taken a lot out of it is Danyelle Bernier. She is also, just in case you're wondering, a MBA, MAG student. She does research. She's doing, like I said, 2 master's degree. Oh, no problem. She just moved from a new city to come and do the MBA. Still find time to see animals and go and see horses and all of these kinds of things. And overall just shows up as a great human all the time for both Tiffany and myself. We cannot wait to talk to Danyelle about what she has learned over the last 8 months, how she hopes to kind of take it all in and learn from these lessons, and what the next kind of chapters and next parts of her career journey and educational journey look like. So Danyelle, thank you so much for joining us. And the first question we have is, what's the story behind your decision to embark on an MBA journey right now?
Thanks for having me. I'm honored. As a listener before school, I'm honored to be on the podcast today. So how I got started with my MBA was there's some life changes and career changes, and my partner was based out of Alberta. My father passed away suddenly. I was doing a job I loved with Fisheries and Oceans Canada, doing major infrastructure upgrades, working with Indigenous and community partners, senior management, handling a lot of money. And a big part of that role was aligning those different perspectives, turning complexity into decisions people could actually move forward with. And I wanted more tools on my tool belt, and I wanted to pivot to agriculture. So I was thinking about how I could best set myself up for that. And the MBA at U of A with the combined program seemed like the perfect fit for me. So I gave it a go, and it was scary and didn't know what to do, leaving my stable job and my pension and everything else. But it's the best decision I've made so far, and I'm really happy to be here.
That's so cool. We walked through all of these classes that we've done and all of the stuff that we've had. So you've been in this MBA MAG program for 8 months. What's been the favorite part so far?
There's been so many. The best thing I can kind of equate this whole program in our class is just, I think of it as a toolkit, and we're learning how to it's not just like the knowledge, but it's in how you make decisions and how you carry yourself and how you network. So it's getting those more tools on my tool belt. And a lot of that is the soft skills in which we've done through our class. And I think in our world, there's more weight going towards the soft skills, but overall, I'm so grateful that we have this class and we have both of you and our career coaching, because it allows us to actually implement the the tools that we're learning, and be able to be more strategic and more intentional in how we carry ourselves as through our career. So
those people skills, the human skills that we call them, the things that actually they're the least soft things. I think they are some of the hardest things about working, and I think about life is actually doing it with other humans. And so I appreciate that you offered that is some of the most kind of valuable work, kind of to take away from. It's the work that Paul and I love to do, and so we love doing it with students that love to do it, and we know you to be a lover of the like people and human work. And that truly can supercharge, that's now an AI word, but supercharge your efficacy out in the world. And to do that, though, to be someone who's really effective in the world, you need to be someone with a really good brand. And you are someone that I would say has a really strong brand, but I would suspect that over the last few months, you've got a lot more clear on it. So take us back. You started 8 months ago. What did you know coming into the MBA before the Paul and the Tiffany's of the world? What did you know about yourself and your brand before you started?
Well, I think consistency is a big thing, and we've also been taught that in class, right? Is how we show up on a consistent in a consistent nature, and how we show up in different aspects of our life that transfers over. I think prior to starting school, I thought of my brand as more an task related or output related. Like I'm a hard worker and I'm passionate, and I know those things about myself, and I kind of thought that was my brand. But it is more in the now I'm seeing it's how I come to a situation, and how I show up, and how I make people feel. And that was in one of our exercises that we had initially done with the brand, right? We've established our values, we've established our strengths, our emotional intelligence, and then it was asking our peers what do they think of us? And the most eye-opening part for me was a lot of the things that I thought were my brand. It is more how I make people feel, and how I make people feel supported or welcomed, and that type of energy to that, how people interpret how I am with them. And that was something that I didn't necessarily consider in the same way prior to school.
Yeah. The thing I want to just point out for you, Danyelle, you talked about like being this very like task-oriented person, and this person who just gets stuff done, and almost swore for the first time on the podcast. Someone who gets stuff done, but you show up as an incredible human person. Right. And that has nothing to do with the tasks. It has nothing to do with your technical skills. And it's so great to see people see like the impact that they can make with just being a human and caring about other people, which I think is really, really amazing and really, really cool. And I'm glad that, we can open up some eyes to that. If we can show up as a good human, we will be a great teammate, we'll be a great leader, we'll be a great contributor to making an organization move forward, right? Which I think is really cool. So you started in August of 2025. You showed up. You're like, I've watched some of your podcasts, and we were like, we like you immediately. That's the way we. And so you learned that you are going to get a career coach, and I think you lost the lottery, maybe won the lottery, but you got to match up with Paul. Paul is your career coach. I am the career coach. What did you think about having a career coach before we even got into our meetings and things like that? What were some of your observations about having a career coach?
I was stoked. I'm a big personal development person, and I think during the pandemic that really had time to be able to do that. And having that little insight on Paul and Tiffany, and hearing the things that you focused on, and the priorities that you guys set forth, like in our MBA, and what kind of leaders you are working towards developing us into. I was really excited already to go all in. And I remember during orientation, you could see the difference in how people who were open versus people that weren't, right? And I feel that I took a lot out of that, and that's been the same for this whole process. Is you just kind of have to surrender and just trust the experts to do their thing, and be okay to, you don't want to be the same person that you were coming into this. I want to have more tools on my tool belt. I want to show up as a leader that I know I can be, and that I am already. And you guys are giving us the tools and the words. We've talked about emotional literacy and having the vocabulary. And I feel that I have been able to gain so much in terms of how I'm able to carry myself, speak about what I can do, and not just task related skills, but just as a human, right?
Did you hear that, Paul? We're experts. Didn't you hear that? Oh, we chuckle about that all the time. This feeling of being regarded as an expert, but not necessarily feeling like one, is an interesting place to be. Danyelle, you talked about being a self-development person, that you leaned in, and we've watched that. I mean, Paul has gotten more of a front row seat than I have, but we've watched you lean into this. But surprise is an interesting thing. It does funny things in our brain when we are surprised by stuff. And I'm always curious, for people who already know themselves and are leaning in, it's still really powerful when you find something about yourself that is a surprise, that you hadn't seen before, that you're seeing yourself in a different way. So I'm curious if you've learned anything about yourself that has been surprising over the last 8 months.
All of it, I think. Should I say it like that? I went into this knowing myself, and knowing my heart and my authenticity and how I show up, and that I work hard and I care. That wasn't a surprise, but it actually, the part that surprised me was how much of that was ingrained in me, like the strengths, for example, like having, I'm a developer, so I like, and I didn't really, Paul and I had to work on that, because I was like, I knew I like to help people and I like to grow things and provide that support, and I care about people, but I didn't know that that was one of my fundamental like strengths. And even in our emotional intelligence survey, what was it called? Our emotional intelligence.
Yep. Yeah, EQI 2.0 is the
Yeah.
assessment that we use. Yeah.
Yes. So that was super eye-opening for me, because it's connecting the dots on how I'm feeling and allowing me to be like, okay, this is why I gravitate towards these situations or this type of work or these types of causes, or relate to these kinds of people, right? With aligned views on how you kind of see the world. So it's all of it has been surprising. Also, just the confidence that now that I feel that I carry of what I bring to the table on both sides of the technical and the school side. So I can say all of it. It's confidence. And I also can say that, like, I am a leader. Not that I was, or I was trying to become one. You guys have kind of just allowed us to have the skills to see the leader that's already in us and be able to bring it to the forefront, which has been so fun.
So cool to hear people say and hear you say that it's like, I already kind of knew what I had, but like it's, Tiffany and I, as we maneuver through our coaching education and experience, we talk about like sharpening the blade, right? Like you are just sharpening that blade that you kind of work through life with. And I also look at it as like, we help people connect the dots for themselves, right? Like it's just asking questions to be able to say like, hey, how has this shown up for you? It's, what's so funny is you use the word expert. I would say, what's the opposite of expert? It's like curiosity. It's just somebody that is willing to kind of like sit with people through the weeds, right? And I think that's the way that I love to look at the way that we coach students, is just helping them identify things that can help them sharpen those skill sets for themselves, or tools that you talked about, right? A lot of that though is a lot of introspective work. We have to look very deeply inside of us, and that's sometimes very challenging for people. How did you feel about the more like personal or introspective work? Was it uncomfortable? Was it easy? What was that like for you?
Well, I think introspective work in general, I think if it's easy, I don't know if you're doing it right. And I don't want to call anybody out, but I also think that if it's not easy as a human to be going through life and to be if you're actually taking a real look at what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, where can you improve, and being transparent with yourself about that, of course, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. But I would also argue and ask whoever is uncomfortable with that aspect, is it more uncomfortable to stay the same and to not grow and to be stuck in that the same place that you were a year ago or years ago? You want to grow. You hit new levels, and you want to be able to build off of that, not stay in the same box. So I would argue that point by saying it's more uncomfortable to stay the same and to not do that introspective work. I think for me, like personally, in terms of transparency, my perfectionism has come up a lot for me, and I still have to work on that. And it's a day-to-day struggle because we have a lot of priorities that we're juggling in this program. And the thing that I have learned as we started was, how do we navigate not just the academic priorities that we have with the full course load, but we should be networking and building relationships and getting experience. And with that means you can't spend all your time studying. You have to, the schoolwork is a priority, but it's also the personal relationships and that you build, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the skills you learn outside of that. And that has been a juggling act for me, because I want to be perfect in school. And I also want to be perfect in the other side of things, but perfection is not a realistic bar. So having to focus on how I prioritize and my trade-offs, and understanding that there are trade-offs, and which one am I okay with not having, and what's the opportunity cost of not doing something versus doing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything's got a price. So being able to learn that, and this, you guys in this course, and even having a lot of time talking with Paul about, okay, I don't know if I should be doing this or if I should be doing this. And we've kind of gotten rid of should out of my vocabulary. That's been a big part, because I have a lot of shoulds, and I know a lot of students think that too, or people in general. So
to be fair, the MBA attracts perfectionists and it triggers perfectionists, and you get to watch each other try to be perfectionists. So it's a tough ground for people who have a rumble with perfectionism. So I hear ya. I am curious, you talked about a whole bunch of introspection, what you've learned about yourself. Is there a favorite that you can point to? Class topic, anything we've talked about, which is what stands out top of the list? I know it's all good, I think, but
Yes.
What stands out at the top?
The brand class I already mentioned was great, because it kind of put things together, and it wasn't just my own perspective of myself, which I think that's important, to step out of your own way and see how do you people feel from you and how you show up. The strengths and the EQI, super important. I also really loved the class that we did where we got to just not speak and had photos and just show the things that we were passionate about, and we had our teams in our tables kind of infer who we were and what our passions are based off of the photos. It's everybody shows up in different ways, so it was I learned about my colleagues in that way, and I also learned about myself, and that again showed that alignment of who I am and the things that I like to focus on and how I show up. So I think there's in every class, whether it's been storytelling was also really lovely. And being able to understand how important telling a story is and how impactful that is. I love listening to a good story, and I'm envious of the people who can tell really great stories. And so that's something that, like, a class I took really seriously too. And I listened to Tiffany, and I have my notes on my phone still. So whenever I have a good story, I'm writing them down and remembering to take a moment to kind of reflect on that. So Yeah,
Love
this
it.
class has been invaluable, and I'm sad that we won't have it next year. I want another
Mm-hmm.
year.
Aw, well, you're welcome to come back anytime. I'm curious, you talked about the brand class. Do you remember? So that was when everybody got to give each other words that they see everybody as. Is there a word or two that you remember was offered to you that stood out to you?
Yeah, warm and
Mm.
like engaging.
Mm.
So I try hard. My mom's very warm, and she's my inspiration in life, and she can make friends everywhere she goes, and people just love her because she's kind and genuine and makes people feel heard. And so that is someone who's grown up with a mother like that. I try in every way, in every interaction that I have, to make sure that I make people feel that way,
Yeah.
because it just it's it makes my heart feel good. I appreciate
Mhm.
those quality of relationships more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a nice compliment, because how I hope
Mhm.
to show people that how I hope to show up seemed to have transferred through, and people felt
Yeah.
that way. So
Yeah. It sure
yeah,
has. I mean, the thing that I always find really interesting, Danielle, about our classes is, Tiffany and I are much more observant than probably people expect or think. We are always paying attention to, like, who do people navigate to, who do people want to sit with, who sits with the same people all the time, all of those things, right? You sat in the front, you sat right, like as close as you could to us. You were very attentive. There's a warmness, there's a kindness to that. As a facilitator, we see that, and then as a participant in the class, I hope other people saw that as well, because you're leading the way. And, like, when we think about leaders, we want them to be warm, we want them to be kind, we want them to have an understanding that people can go through things, and somebody that can check in with others, right? And we as facilitators know that and see that. And so you are doing a excellent job at showing
thank
up
you,
in very warm and kind ways, which is amazing.
thank
What are you
you.
most proud of so far in this Biz 501, this Biz 504, this 8-month kind of journey that we've been on? What are you most proud of so far?
I can't help but reflect on this time last year where I was.
Mm,
So I hadn't, rewinding a little bit, I hadn't uh, applied yet. I was in the middle of writing my application. I think I came across your podcast about this time, maybe April last year. And I I was nervous I wasn't going to get in, and I was scared they wouldn't see what I could bring to the table, or being that imposter syndrome. And then now, looking at myself a year later, I don't even recognize myself in the best way, right? And so I'm proud of how I've invested in myself, in my education, and just the time that I've put in, and
Mm-hmm.
reflection, and working towards my growth. Um, but I also like letting go of that need of certainty and just moving forward anyway. And Paul and I have talked about that in our sessions. Is there's a lot of ambiguity, and
Mm-hmm.
it's getting comfortable with that ambiguity, and how I'm building relationships, and knowing my strengths and leaning into them. So uh, and knowing also my weaknesses and working on them. It's been a fun journey, but I don't she's a new woman, and I don't
Mm.
I'm getting to know her all over again, and I think it's
Aw.
been a fun journey.
So if you could talk to the person who is going to come across this podcast now, who's in the same boat that you were a year ago, that's wondering if they're good enough, that's not sure how this is going to go, what's one piece of advice you would give to them?
I have a lot, but be engaged, be curious, ask questions, even the hard questions, uh, and not don't put yourself in a box right away. I never would
Mm.
have imagined I'm now into finance and venture capital and tech. And I was a marine biologist, and wanting to work in agriculture in some kind of business capacity. And now all these options and people and relationships I have built and I'm continuing to build, and just leaning into not having all the answers and seeing what's in store. And if I'm going to pull a Tiffany and Paul, I'm going to say trust the process. But you get in what you put in. And so I think people will sell themselves short on this side of the MBA, and it's not just the technical skills. So be engaged, like enjoy this part, lean into it.
Love it. And I would love to hear the rest of your advice, but we don't have the time. Maybe that's the next episode we have with you. But are you ready for a lightning round? Let's move on to that.
Yes.
Okay, 3 quick questions, 3 gut answers. What part of your career story has given you the biggest boost?
Trust your gut. Take on responsibility.
Cool.
Say yes to things.
What do you wish you'd learned sooner?
Ambiguity doesn't go away. Just you have to get better at making decisions with the information that you have. And confidence comes from making those decisions, not from the certainty.
And service is really important to Paul and I. It's woven into our DNA. So we are always curious to hear how service is going to show up for you in the coming week.
This week I've been showing up for my family. My grandma's been sick, so been showing up for my mom and my family. Also sent some donations to some children in Gaza for humanitarian relief. So yeah, and just working on my extracurriculars and MBA community side. So giving back to the MBA community and the students within.
Your warmth shines through. All right, Paul, you're up. What's your random question?
Oh, Danyelle, I could take this question in so many different directions and areas, but I think I was initially going to ask you like a recommendation in Canada that people just haven't heard of from like a nature perspective of like where, but I'm not going to ask you that question. If you had a moment, let's say half a day to spend somewhere in Canada in nature, where would you go?
Oh, easy. It wouldn't be going far. I would either be going to the barn to go ride my horse, or my parents live on a very remote island in BC, so it would be that also, which is on the ocean, and orcas in the ocean. So I just like to whale watch. Yeah.
All right. In the least weird way possible, do you have a Tiffany-sized suitcase in which you could pack me in so I can go to said island as well? That sounds fabulous. I mean, I'll ride your horse. The horse thing sounds great, but I'll come with you to either of those.
I've got a suitcase for you. Don't you worry.
Perfect. Amazing. May it be pink or purple.
It is purple.
Excellent. Perfect. Oh, Danyelle, we could chat forever, and we chatted a while before we even hit the record button, and you are 100% hardworking and caring. Like the two sides of that coin that make the best leaders. And I mean, this is researched and written about. The best leaders are equal parts competent, hardworking, knowledgeable, skillful, and warm and empathetic and kind. You cannot be an effective leader without both of those. And yes, sometimes you have to flex either way. And I've watched you flex. I've watched you to learn how to flex even more, to get nuanced, to understand truly what you're bringing to the table. And to hear you talk about believing and seeing the leader that is inside of you, that Paul and I could have told you on day one was in there, is just such a blessing, truly, in my own words, to be able to watch for you. There aren't too many students. There's a few, but there's not too many students that have brought tears to my eyes, and you're one of them. I was privileged to listen to your This Is Me at the end of last semester, and to hear your story and to hear your warmth and your kindness and your heart truly was one of the most touching ones that I have heard. And so thank you for bringing that heart, passion, dedication, smarts, both sides of that coin to everything that you do. And we can't wait to see where it takes you, because truly the sky is the limit for you. So thanks for sprinkling some of that here.
Oh, thank you. You're going to make me cry. Thank you. I'm grateful I have you both.
And we are grateful for you. Thanks. Oh, key takeaways. Be more like Danyelle. And mic drop. No kidding. We have some other bits, but I feel like that could be the takeaway. It's be more like Danyelle. For me, there's such a beautiful sentence she said it, and she lit up when she said it, but that she sees the leader that already exists inside of her.
Yeah.
And coaching, to me, good coaching isn't about either teaching someone or trying to convince them. It is, how do you help them see what is already there?
Yeah.
And what a powerful place that I think she saw glimpses of it. She had some good understanding when she came in, but to truly see the leader that is already inside of her, that's why we say the sky's the limit for her.
Pretty easy. You just hold that mirror up and it's like, wow, it's pretty great. And I was very easy to coach Danyelle, and is very easy to go through coaching with her, because she is very open to conversation, right? You don't have to, the walls are so small and so easy to get through. It's very easy. So the key takeaway for myself is, you made a comment. It's like, be like Danyelle. I'd like, invest in yourself. If you're going to invest in anything, invest in yourself. What the heck is wrong? Like, with just that, why can't we just invest in ourselves? And we never know what we could kind of figure out, I guess. That's it. Like, it literally, at the end, I'm like, this is simply the message of, like, would you not rather invest in yourself than anything else? So.
Yeah, I heard a friend of mine say it recently, to bet on yourself. If you're going to bet on anything, bet on yourself. Invest in yourself, bet on yourself. Yeah. Nobody else is going to do it. Some people might, but you can't. That is your job. It's our job. It's to invest and bet on ourselves. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, I would say that's the thing we talk about the most. How do we understand and invest in ourselves? And we're going to keep talking about it. Next week is another round of how do you get to know people, but we're going to chat with a colleague who does that every day. It's part of her job is to get to know people. So we'll find out how she does it on our next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Career Boosters podcast. We hope you had a blast. Yeah, we know that's corny. Catch you next time, and remember to subscribe wherever you enjoy podcasts.